Hi, this is Dr. A, and I'm going to show you today how to build a WPF, Windows Presentation Foundation, based client for the chat server that we created the other day. And I'm actually going to do this one from the ground up, so I'm going to go ahead and create a new application. So I just did new project. Here's my WPF application. So this will be a Windows application based on Windows Presentation Foundation. So we'll just call this the chat client. And I'm going to build this in a couple of different ways because I want to have functionality here. I'm going to build a chat client on WPF, but I'm also going to build another project. And even though this doesn't really have a lot of business logic in it and stuff like that, I'm going to go ahead and treat this like as if it was a large application. And I'm going to actually create a second project here. And this one, I'm just going to create a class library. And this class library, I'm going to call, well, I'll just call it the chat library. And we'll see how we can expand this to include functionality from a bunch of different places. So we'll just click that, say OK on that one. And this one will have a class. It doesn't have anything called class. It doesn't have anything in it except this template that has class 1. So what we're going to do is I'm going to actually essentially put the model in here. And it's quite common actually to encapsulate business logic and stuff like this in a separate library. And I'm going to write it very much like I showed you in class, and then I'm going to refactor it so that it looks a little bit better. And we'll talk about some general principles of programming in here that hopefully you've heard before, but maybe you haven't. So I'm going to start off by just calling this class the client model. That's what I called it in class. And it's going to implement the iNotify property changed. Now you'll notice that this doesn't have anything in here at all. Okay, we have a conflict. To Resharper action, quick fix conflicts with Visual Studio. I'm going to use the Visual Studio quick fix, or the Resharper. So I have actually something in here called Resharper. And you know, I guess I could do this again. I could actually hit Alt Enter again and say implement the iNotify changed stuff here. And this is actually generating an awful lot of code for me. So let me put this in a region. So I'm going to say region property changed event. How about just iNotify property changed code. Okay. And I can go down here then and say bang and region. There we go. Okay. So now I can actually get that stuff out of the way, and it looks like I'm back to where I started. But I have my iNotify property changed code actually implemented. And let me show you, well, let's look at it really quick. We have a public event called property changed event handler called property changed. And we have a protected virtual void on property changed string property name. And we'll just say yeah, this new property. So we have a bunch of stuff here already, and it looks like it'll actually do it. It has everything I need in it. So I am going to leave that just the way it is. And we're going to go up here and we're going to say, all right, in this client model we need a private TCP client underscore socket. And I'm just going to hit Alt-Enter 2. And Alt-Enter, by the way, just gives me the things that I need up there in the using section. So it tells what libraries I'm going to need. I also have a private, in this case, network stream, and we'll call that underscore stream. Okay? And I'm going to have some properties that other, this is internal stuff. The TCP client and the network stream are internal stuff that's only used in this class. But I have some externally accessible information that I'm going to put into properties. So I'm going to need a private, and this is just going to be a string. This is for internal use if I need to change something without letting people know. Message board. And then I have a public. Wow, if I can spell public. String message board. And this is going to be a get, and we have a return underscore message board. Okay? And then we have a set, and I'm going to stick that down there. And we're going to say underscore message board is equal to value, but we also have we have to notify the property change. Well, I've always called this we'll do on property changed. Okay. On property changed. And we need to hand in message board. All right. Now, I don't like the way this is being formatted here, so I'm going to go ahead and put that down and go ahead and save this really quick, because it seems like this is doing something I wouldn't normally like it to do. So that's one property right there. The message board property. I'm just going to roll it up there to get it out of the way, and we'll do a private string underscore current message, and we'll put also a public string current message, and we'll do a get, and we'll just do a return underscore current message. Okay, and we'll also do a set that has underscore current message equals value. And then we'll do a on property changed, and we'll go current message. Okay. Now I don't like putting my getters and setters on. So again, I'm fixing this up based on what some of my tools are actually doing for me. I don't want to just set. Let's do the whole thing. Okay, so we've got the message board and the current message, and we also have a couple of other things that are going to need to be put in there. We got another private up here. We need to put in a private connected. I'm sorry. This is going to be publicly accessible, so let's make it a property. Another property. Private bool underscore connected. You know, I'm going to try something. Prop. Let's make this a bool. property boolean underscore. Wow. Let's undo. Prop G. Prop bool. And then we have, I guess we're just going to use the connected here. Connected. And we'll have getters and setters, but I'm sorry, this is supposed to be a capital C. And we're supposed to have a private. I'm messing around with this stuff. I'm sorry. This is connected. There we go. A get. We're just going to return underscore connected underscore connected. And we're also going to have a getter and setter that has a underscore connected equals value. Don't do that to me. And then on property changed connected. Okay, there we go. Now we've got our connected one, and apparently I'm not doing any better at recognizing what this little extra tool is doing for me. So the next thing we really need to do is to have a constructor for this thing. So we need a public client model, and we're just going to say, in this case, underscore connected is equal to false. Now, next thing we need to do, we actually need to write the functionality for connect, send, get message, read string, write string, all of those good things. So somebody's going to actually connect to something. Let's do that first. So we're going to say public void connect, and we'll write this in here as socket is equal to a new TCP client yeah, and we need to connect .connect, and now we need to give it the IP address 127.0.0.1. By the way, that just stands for the local machine, like localhost or something like that. And then we need to do 888. And that's what I'm just doing for right now. We're going to get a stream is equal to the socket dot get stream, and then we're going to set our connected equal to true. Now I want you to notice the difference between setting connected equal to true and setting the underscore connected equal to true is that when I set connected equal to true, I'm actually setting the property. The property will set underscore connected equal to true as well as part of that thing, but what it'll also do is it'll notify anyone who's listening that the state of connected has changed. So that's pretty important to actually put in there. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say send, and again, this doesn't exist yet, so it's trying to give me something else. That's fine. And then I'm going to set the message board equal to welcome plus underscore current message. Now this doesn't cause an update to the information, because in a moment we will get an update to the information. So var thread equals new thread. And I'm going to have to do that to get it to, I'm going to say get message. Now, there's two things. I can hit Alt-Enter and get the threading, but I don't have a get message thing. So those two things are going to show up in red there. But I'm going to say thread.start. Okay, so the next thing I have to do is write those other things, right? I need to do a private void get message. And we're just going to say while true, hey, just say string msg is equal to read string, and that doesn't exist, but that's okay. And then we're going to do message board. Now this time I'm actually doing a message board plus equals /r/n plus msg. So we're good on that. That's all I need to do there. Now I need to write these other things. Private string read string, and then I'm going to say, oh, I don't put a semicolon there. Haha. Read string. Let me pull this up so you can see where we are again. Var bytes equals new byte 16384, and then we're going to say underscore stream dot read, and we're going to write read bytes. Actually, we're going to start at 0, and we're going to read until underscore socket, underscore socket dot buffer size, receive buffer size. Okay, so there we've read the bytes. Let's create the message. String msg is equal to encoding dot ASCII2 dot get by get string from bytes. Okay, and then we'll do an int index is equal to, and I'm going to do a little bit of a change here. I'm actually going to change the way I encode strings to be null terminated, which is a very common way of doing this. So I'm going to say index of, and I'm going to say \0. So I am going to change this just a little bit, and I'll have to change the server as well. And then we'll just say return msg.substring starting at 0 and going to index. Alright, now that's okay. That should work pretty much no matter what. Alright, let's go down and do the write string. That's the only thing we have to write send, don't we? We'll write that in a minute. Let's do the write string. Does it make sense to do write string without send? Probably not. Let's write send first. Public void send. And this one just does write. Okay, we're going to make it, we're going to put it all in send right here. We're just not going to do a write string at all. No, we're going to do a write string. We'll do a write string. Write string underscore current message plus /0. Okay. Now we need to do a private write string. Write string. And this is going to have a string msg. Okay, I'm going to pull this up again so that we can see it a little better there. And the write string should be fairly simple, actually. We just need to get a set of bytes, and we're going to set, I'm going to call this bytes again, is equal to, that nice red tells you when you got something wrong, doesn't it? Bytes equals encoding dot ASCII dot get bytes, and we're going to get bytes from MSG. And then we're going to take that stream dot write, and we're going to write the bytes starting with 0 and going up to bytes dot length. Okay, and then of course we need to flush the buffer. Stream dot flush. Okay. All right, private. This is a void. I forgot to do that. And now everything should be fine. Now, this is our model, right? And it's very common to put a model in a library. You'll also notice that this puts some extra things up here. I'm going to go actually and look and see what these are. I don't need these extra directives, so I'm going to just remove those. There is a way to do that. You can do an edit, IntelliSense, organize usings, remove unused usings, but I have a shortcut because I'm using another tool. So there it is. It has everything I need. Now the problem is, and I promised you I would talk about some software design principles here, and one of the most important software design principles is SRP, Single Responsibility Principle. And what that means is that every object should have a single responsibility. And this client model that I've built here has a couple of responsibilities. Basically, it provides message board information and the ability to set a message, and then and that's fine. It has the ability to display the current message, the message history, if you will, and then it has some, send a new message, all this other kind of stuff. Now, I don't mind having a single object that is going to do some of these things, but I don't want to have an object that does all of this connection work too. So what we're going to do is we're going to refactor this stuff out, and the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to say I should have a connection object that just does connections. And so I'm going to go down here to my chat library. I'm going to add a new class. And while I'm at it though, let me change this right here. I'm actually going to say this should be named the client model. Okay. So I'm going to add a new class here. Add a new class. And I'm going to call this, instead of a socket, or a client socket, I'm going to call this a client string socket.cs. And that's very important because what I want to do is I'm actually going to use an inheritance mechanism here, which is nice. And I'm going to say I want this thing to inherit from the TCP client. Okay? And I'm going to go ahead and import the type system right? Okay? Now, what I've just done is I now have a new socket type that can do, or that will do, everything that all of my model does with respect to sockets. So first thing I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to go over to my client sockets. Yeah, let's see if we can do I think I can put it in a separate one here. I wonder what will happen. Oh, that was nice. Okay. Okay, I'm going to implement this a little bit differently than I actually did over there. Instead of using connect, I could have actually called a new socket. And so that's what I'm going to do here. And I can pass in, the host name and the IP, or the host name or IP address, and the port right here. So I'm going to do a public client string socket, and I want to have a string host name and an int port. But I'm going to do something different here. You notice this, when I put a colon there, it shows base. And I want to call the base constructor, and I'm just going to hand it the host name and the port number. And then we'll write the extra stuff that we want to do. Let's look at the other stuff that we have in here. Read string is definitely something. So public string read string is going to be something that we need to do. And here we can say var bytes equals new byte 16.384. Now, I don't know how big the buffer size on this actually is. So, we could go and look, I suppose. And I have in here already the TCP client here. And I can look at the buffer. Now we can try and find it anyway. Buffer, receive buffer size. And we can see what this actually does. The size of the receive buffer in bytes. The default value is 8192. So I'm actually getting something bigger than 8192. 8,192 characters is an awful lot of characters. The receive buffer size property gets or sets the number of bytes that you are expecting to store in the receive buffer for each read operation. This property actually manipulates the network buffer space allocated for receiving. Your network buffer should be at least as large as your application buffer to ensure that the desired data will be available when you call networkstream.read. Use the receive buffer size to set this size. If your application will be receiving buffer data, you should pass the read method a very large application buffer. Okay, so we are passing it a very large application buffer. Oops. Thank you. And we're going to say underscore stream base dot underscore. Oh, can we get underscore stream? No. Wow. Because it seemed like I could actually access it here. Underscore. No, I can't get it. Okay. Well, we'll at least have a stream here. Network stream underscore stream. And we'll say underscore stream we'll actually have to do this then. We'll actually have to say underscore stream is equal to get stream. Okay, so we have something up there in our constructor now. Now we got stream dot read, and we're going to read bytes starting at 0 underscore socket socket dot receive. No, this dot receive buffer size. So I don't actually have to have the this there. Just say receive buffer size. And then we'll say string msg is equal to encoding dot ASCII dot get string from bytes. And we'll just get that. And we'll say return msg.substring of 0, comma, and this I'm going to say msg.index of, and here we're going to do the 0 thing again. Okay, so we've got a read string in there. Now we need a write string. Public write void. We should say void write string. String msg. And this one we're just going to say bytes is equal to encoding dot ASCII2 dot get bytes from MSG, and we'll do a stream dot write bytes, and then we'll do a underscore stream dot flush. Now we got to figure out what happened here, because somehow it doesn't like bytes, and probably the reason is because I didn't put enough into it, right? 0, comma bytes dot length. Okay, there, it likes that. Okay, so I've gotten that. You notice I've had to write it just slightly differently because some things I don't actually use. Now we don't have, this does not have an iNotify property changed or anything like that. So at this point I can take read string and write string out of this, and I can do instead of the connect here where I do all of this stuff here, instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new socket instead of TCP client socket. I'm going to have a client string socket. I'm going to call this the client string socket. Okay? And so obviously we're going to need to put this in there. So I'm just going to do a new client stream socket. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do 127.0.0.1, and I'm going to put in the 8888. And this has to be a string, so let me put this in as a string. Okay, so I can get rid of this connection. I don't need to do the stream anymore. I don't even have to do connected equals true. I just have to do a send, set the message board, and get this thread started. Okay? So what is the thread actually going to do? Well, it's going to start the thread, right? Okay, so also I need to go up here, and I don't need to set this equal to false. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to the connected thing, and I'm going to say, instead of returning connected, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say underscore socket equals null question mark. And if it's null, then I'm going to return false. Otherwise, I'm going to return underscore socket dot connected. And we can see this is a property bool that says that I've got a value there. Okay. Now it thinks it can simplify my life. Conditional operator. And lo and behold, it did. Return underscore socket not equal to null will short circuit to false. So if that returns false, it'll actually short circuit and return false immediately. So that is a simplification that the software. If I want to set it, now I can't set it. All right, there is no way that I can set it. This property is not settable. Okay, so I'm just going to have a get there. There will be no set. All right, so there's my connected, and my send is now going to just say underscore socket dot write string underscore current message. All right, that's my send, and I should have a read string here. This is going to be underscore socket dot read string. Okay, so I've simplified this quite a bit to now only have really the logic of the client model. I want to be able to have a message board. I want to be able to have a current message. I want to know whether or not something's connected, which I don't need that anymore. And I want a connect method, which I have. And then I have a private void get message, a public send, and I have failed, right? Failed. Fail plus 0. Okay. Now let's just suppose for a minute that I go ahead and just consider this to be null terminated strings. And that way I can say msg plus equals /0. And if I add that null terminated string in right here, I've hidden part of the logic of my application for the actual reading and writing of strings right here, and we're actually doing something with null terminated strings, which is very correct, actually. Okay, so we've made this even simpler. We just send the current message if you want to send something. Get message is constantly waiting for messages to arrive. Whenever it does, it's going to add them to the message board. And now we have simplified this. This has the single responsibility of managing the message board. You want to send something to the message board, you want to receive, messages come in. Okay, we've hidden the socket kind of stuff in here. I'm going to go in here and remove the unused directives so this has the minimal amount of stuff needed. And we're good to go. Now this doesn't have a connect method because the connect method should be right here. Now if I wanted to make this more generic, I could put in the IP address and stuff here. Okay, so let's build it and see if we have any errors. I don't think we do, and indeed we don't. It does have one warning though. This is never used. Well, lo and behold, it is never used. So let's remove it, and we've simplified it even just a little bit more. All right, let's build it again and make sure that we don't have any errors and that we don't have any warnings. Good, very good. All right, so now we have built the model for this. The actual view model, and okay, it looks like we can get rid of some other stuff here. The actual view model and the view itself aren't going to be much different. So now that we've built this, I'm going to close these and we're just going to use them now. Okay? And we're going to go back to Solution Explorer here, and I'm going to pin this back in so that we can see what's going on here a little bit. I have a chat library, and I need to actually access this chat library here. I'm going to add a reference to the chat library. Okay, so there's the chat library there. And I'm going to go in here then, and I'm going to say, all right, I need to draw this thing out. Well, let's draw it. It doesn't really matter whether I do the view model first or the view. A lot of times it makes sense to do the view first, so let's grab our toolbox here and pin that down there as well. And we're going to grab just a, I don't know, we want a stack panel on there? No, I'm just going to put text boxes and junk in there. Text box. Ta-da! Text box. And I'm going to put this up here. I'm going to grab this down here like that, and we'll just maybe put it there. We'll grab another text box and put it there. We'll grab a button and put it there, and a button and put it there, and a label, and we'll just slap it in there. And now we'll move this stuff around a little bit. Okay, a button. Actually, we should do the bottom ones first. Button, button, label, text box, and we're going to put the text box in there like that. We'll grab this one and drop it down here like that. The label, the content of that one is going to be message. I don't remember. What did I put on the other one? Let me go look. Yeah, message. What do you know? So, message. And then this one we put down here. The button was button. Let's grab the right button. And we'll put send. And on this one we'll put connect. And again, I'm going to lock these things in place. So I'm going to lock this side and this side. And on this one, I'm going to lock this one and not that one. And I'm going to lock both sides here so that this text box gets bigger or whatever. Now, I don't care to have the words text box in there, so I really don't want that. However, I am going to put an XML namespace in here, and I'm going to call this chat lib, okay, equal to, let's call it CL. That's something easier. CL equal to, and again, we have to do the CLR dash namespace space colon, and I'm going to do the chat library. Chat library. Okay. Now, that can't resolve symbol chat library. That's okay though, because that's probably because I haven't built it yet. So we're going to build this thing first. The build succeeded. Now I look in here at the references, and there it is, chat library. So that's okay. And in my chat library, I have a client string and a client model. So we're going to go back here, and inside this thing, right afterwards actually, I'm going to put in this window dot data context, and I'm going to put in here CL colon, and you notice it's giving it to me this time client model. And so in that case, I just need this, and we're good. Do I actually need to say that? Chat library colon client model. Well, let's see if we oh, ha 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 ha. It does help if I don't put in okay, let's see what they actually did. They put assembly equals chat library. Namespace chat library colon assembly semicolon assembly equals chat library. I still don't understand why it doesn't like that. Because I should be able to say CL colon client model. And it does like it now. Okay. I never had to do that before, so that's new to me. But we've got it working now. And now we can actually go in here and say this text box here is gonna, I'm going to unpin this so I have a little bit more room. This text box has, there we go, binding, and we're going to bind this to message board. Oh, bad idea. Okay. This is about as much as we can do right now, because this is the chat library here. This would be the client model, and I don't want to bind this directly to the model. So let me just ignore this for the moment, and I'm going to leave this alone. We'll just leave it as is, but this binding message board is correct, but what I haven't done yet is that's the view, right? The view. I'll do something here. I'll say this is going to be binding to the message, and we can have command. We don't have command on either one of those, so we can say command equal to, and we'll just say we're going to bind it to the connect command, and then we'll take this one and we'll say command equal to, and we'll bind this one to the send. How about we make that the connect command, and we make this one the send command. Now, let's have errors here. Why? Wrong place, right? Let's do the send command right there, and let's do the message command right there. Okay, sorry, this was the this is the send. Yes, see it's highlighted. This is the command. Yep, see it's highlighted. This has an error here because cannot resolve the property because it's not in the chat client, so that's fine. Let's go back and let us write in our chat library the view model. So I am going to add a new item. Sorry, it should be just a class, but it came up as default that way, and we're going to call this the client view model.cs, and this one is going to be the adaptation of the model to the view. So let's go back over here and let's write ourselves a view model. First of all, this is going to be a public class, so public view model class. This is going to implement the iNotify property changed, and we'll just import that and we'll implement the iNotify property changed, recognizing of course that this works just fine. So we're going to put in a region here. Region, notify property changed. Pound and region. And we'll just jink. Okay, so we've already done a little bit of the work here. We have 4 different things that we have to plug in here. We have a public string message, and it has a get and a set. The get is just a return underscore client model dot current message, and we don't have one of those yet, so we need to have a client model underscore client model. It is private, and then we are going to have there's a getter, there's also a setter, and the first one is going to be underscore client model dot current message equals value. And the second one is going to be on property changed, and this is going to be message. Man, it just does not want to let go of that, does it? Okay. And then we got to do one for the message board. And so I'm going to copy and paste this laboriously in here. And we'll make this message board. And we'll say this is going to be dot message board. This is going to be dot message board, and this is going to be message board. Okay, so we've got those two things in place, and now we need to put in our commands. Now we haven't put in a command delegate command yet. You remember I talked about that. I am going to paste. We talked about this in class. And so I am just going to copy and paste this because I already have it over here on the side. So let's go back over here to solution. I'm going to create a new, add a class. We'll call this delegate command. And we'll just say, why not? Ding, delegate command. Okay, this is available on my website, so the only thing I need to change is that this is now part of the library, and I can save that. And I'm just going to close it right away, and we'll use it here. Public, man. Public delegate command, and I think we just need to do a send command, right? A send command, and we'll do a get set go on that. We also have a public delegate command, and here we have a connect command. And again, this is a get set go there. Now it doesn't like this. I'm not exactly sure why, so I'm going to say make class delegate public. Oh, did I not make that public? My mistake. Because that should be public. I could have made it internal, but you'll see why in a little bit. Now, I do have to have a version of the model, which I have up here. So I have here I have my 4 different properties, my private client model. I need a constructor here, and the constructor is just going to be public client model, and I don't believe there's anything I need to do there. I'm sorry, client view model. There we go. And the only thing I really need to do with this is say, hey, my client view model needs to have a new client view model, right? And I need to make sure that I subscribe to the client view model dot property changed plus equals, and I'm gonna I haven't written it yet, but we're gonna actually call that the client model changed, and then we're going to create our 2 commands because we need a send command equals new delegate command, and we're going to pass into this a goes to, and this is the action that I'm going to do here, and it goes to client model dot send. Okay? And then we have a predicate, and I'm going to name it P. It makes absolutely no difference what I name it here. But I have a predicate here, and this one is going to go to client model dot connected. Okay? And then we're done with that one. And then we have to do the connect command equals new delegate command. Again, this one's going to go to A, goes to underscore client model dot connect. Yeah. And the predicate is going to go to, and this one's going to be not underscore client model dot connected. Okay. So if we're not connected, we can connect. If we are connected, we can't connect. Okay. So this that's the end of the client view model. I just created those 4 lines right there. And now I need to write this private void client model changed. And this is going to be, by the way, I can do it this way. Let me just, because I have this here, I can actually say create the client method for me, and it'll do it. Okay? And I'm going to just, because it just says throw a new application, you know, it's not there. If e dot property name dot equals open parentheses connected, then I need to do this little thing here. Notify property changed. So on property changed, and this would be on property changed connected. And then I need to say to the connect command dot raise can execute, and to the send command dot raise can execute. I need to tell them that connection state has changed, and you need to determine whether or not you can actually do anything. So we're going to say an else if and e dot property name dot equals, and then we're going to say message board. Well, this one's much simpler actually. Let's scroll down here a little bit so you can see what we're doing. We just need to notify the property on property changed. Now I'm just making sure this is on property changed. Okay, so yeah, we're okay. Message board. Okay, so now we've got, I don't think I needed that though. Don't know how that got there. Okay, let's save and build that. Now this should be everything, right? Just going to remove those unused, or remove the directives there. So this is everything. I have a very nice compact little view model. This view model has the single responsibility of gluing this particular view, the main window, to its model, or the model for this application, which happens to be client model. And client model has a single responsibility for the main window of just dealing with the message board. This is managing the message board. You can tell me to put a message on the message board, and if a message comes to the message board, I'll make sure it goes to everybody else. But I am going to manage people's interaction with the message board. And I don't have really anything to do with the connection at all. Okay? I do have a new client string socket that I mess with. And I have a send and a receive, but that's it. A send and a read. Essentially, this is the get messages and the send messages, and that's it. So let's go back to our thing here, and we're going to actually say, hey, this is not actually the client model. This is actually going to be chat library : client view model. Okay, and now if we look here at our bindings, all of a sudden these all work, and because they now are attached to proper things, and I should be able to run this if I had the server running. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go over here, and it's kind of off screen for you, but I have the server over here, and I'm going to run the server. Tools, let's do the projects. Okay, set startup projects. I'm sorry you can't see what I'm doing right now. But this is the chat server project that we did in class, and I'm actually going to not start the chat client over here, which I created the other day, and we'll just run the server. And you can see at this point that I have the chat server started. I'll pull it off screen here for just a moment, and I'm going to go ahead and see if I can't start this one. And lo and behold, it does start, of course, off screen, so I'll have to pull it back in here. And I should be able to do both of these now. And I should be able to just type in here, hello. Well, let's put in the name, right? Dr. A. And let's connect. And wow, the chat server is going to complain because it doesn't have an index of $. Okay, so let me swap this out for a moment, and we are going to actually fix the server as well. So I'm going to pull the server project over in here, and we'll just look at it briefly. All right. Oh wow. I know. So remove then used. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So we should do the same stuff to this thing as we did the other one, but for right now I'm just going to find my $signs, and there's only one of them, and I'm going to replace it with a 0. Okay. All right. Let's save that, and let me run that again, and we'll run this one again, and we'll bring both of these over here so you can see them, and we'll type in Dr. A, and we'll connect, and welcome Dr. A. Dr. A joined, and at this point I can type in my hello world program. I can connect. Ooh, I can't send. So we do have a problem there. There is a problem with my connect and send. So I need to go and fix that problem. my chat library has not the ability to change the connected state. It just changes internally, and I'm returning it. So what I need to do in my model, let's go to the client model, and I'm going to say socket equals this. And I'm going to say at this point, I created a new socket, so this is sort of a hack, but I'm going to say on property changed connected. Okay? And what that means is basically I need to notify people that the state of the socket has changed. So I can't actually do that because in my other thing, because you know, it doesn't control it here. And I don't think I can listen to that. So I'm just going to put that in there for right now. Let's run both of these again. And we should be able to get this fixed now. Dr. A, connect. Ah, see, now we can send. Hello world. Spelled with too many W's. Hello world. We should do a laser tag event this weekend. Okay. I'll just send that out there. And lo and behold, it works. And somebody can say, I don't want to pay money for this event again, period. And now we've taken care of that $ issue. It works. Somebody could say, it's okay, you don't have to if you are already a computer club member. Ta-da! And it works, okay? And I can bring up another client if I want and do all sorts of things. Okay. We'll maybe continue this video on a little bit longer. You notice, yes, we have I/O exceptions when we close the clients, and that's okay. I don't worry about that too much at the moment. I am going to go through and look at this stuff because occasionally it has inspection point function never returns. Yes, I know it never returns, and that will be a warning, but there's not much I can do about that. Let's see, is there any other cleanup code to do? Private client model. We can make that read only, yes, because once it is created here, it's never changed. That's the view. We don't really care about that. So again, just walking through these. Good. That one probably can be read only as well. Use var. Alright, I'll use var. It's a little shorter. Okay. What else can we do? That's good. That one's good.